I can do that successfully. If you've ever had a psychology course or a sociology course, oh, you may have seen this before. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And basically what Maslow was talking about is that various needs have various levels of importance to us. And the needs that we have at the bottom of the pyramid are the ones we go after first. The ones near the top of the pyramid, we only go after those when we've got all the other needs met. So the reason this is relevant at the time is because most of us are being thrust down here to the bottom of the hierarchy. That is, the physiological needs are like food and air. Our survival mechanisms are kicking in.
To sleep.
Our need for money to take care of ourselves could fall in that category also. So many of us are focused, even if we were dancing around up here in the spiritual things and our own self-esteem was good and we have good relationships and so on. Under crisis, we tend to revert down to the bottom of the period. And that's what's happening for most of us now. And if you feel like, gosh, all I'm thinking about is how to get by, that's probably why you're a normal human being. That's where we tend to go. And as far as how it relates to anxiety, much of our anxiety really is about what we can control or not. And this is where we get into trouble or difficulty, is because we try to control the things that we have no control over, which is a fast track to anxiety. Or we do not take responsibility to control the things that we can, which is also a freeway to anxiety. So part of getting out of anxiety, worry, and calming ourselves down is being very, very clear about what we can control and what we can't control. Because otherwise, we may just be expending energy in a wasted kind of way. Do you have anything to add about that?
Well, I mean, a lot of these things, we have been making references to in the previous weeks, and I think they're, just worth touching on again. And, we talked about acceptance. And, so that's a key factor when we accept what we can't control, and that's just one of the means that we talked about helping us get grounded again. And the other thing that I just think it's fascinating watching us humans is when our freedoms are taken away, that, we believe we have no choice when our freedom is affected, where we go from day-to-day life where there's all sorts of choices we can make and we're in charge of them, to a place where we're not able to. And that just escalates our anxiety when our freedoms are removed.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, we wanted to just start off with that so that you can know, gosh, if this is where you're feeling a lot of pressure, like survival, that makes sense, because that's the way us as human beings operate. We go for survival first, and then we go for some of the higher experiences of life.
And David, even though we're not going to be hitting all of these pieces of the pyramid, would you mind just touching on the others as well, just to, in case anyone has not seen this before?
Well, yeah, I can do that. These are physical needs, which are mainly food, water, air, and I put money in that category, because money is kind of survival for us. Safety is more of our physical safety. So that in this case, when we're dealing with the virus, one of the things we're going to be thinking about is, how do I keep myself safe? That's going to be pretty basic. After we know that we have food, we're going to be wondering about, how do I stay safe? And then after that, after we've got those needs met, then we can start thinking about, well, where do I belong? Where's my family? Where's my support?
Mhm. Relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, the relationship needs. We can focus on there. Then after that, we tend to, another next higher level is our esteem or how we feel about ourselves. That is, most of us want to feel good about ourselves. And so we start focusing on that. If we have enough to eat, and if we're safe, and if we know we belong somewhere, then it's easier to think about, okay, how do I feel good about myself? And then the top of it is self-actualization. That's where people are exploring how they can become everything that they can be, their fullness of their capabilities and their lifestyle. And this tends to be there's a small group of people up here really. A lot of people spend their whole lives down here in the middle somewhere, and there's a small percentage up here at the top that want to go for all the gusto. They want to get everything they can out of life and live every part of their life at a 10. You know, and those of you who are in our life mastery program know that we go over 10 different areas of life, and we want to raise all of them to a level of 10 of satisfaction. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, and this is the place we're all striving for, to be living without self-doubt. You know, living fully trusting, and all is well. You know, no matter what's happening. You know, that's the self-actualization.
Yeah, cool.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you.
So if we think of anxiety, if we have a scale of 0 to 10, Kate came up with a name for this I thought was really good the other day, the peace to anxiety scale, the peace to anxiety continuum, right? So if 0 is peace and 10 is high anxiety, okay, we've got total peace on one side. You can't see my hands. Total peace on this side.
I can see you.
Okay, total anxiety on this side, 0 to 10. Just give us a number if you would. Just shout out where you are today, now. We aren't going to spend a lot of time on it. We just want to get a sense of where the group is at the moment.
And just to note, this is a number that changes. It can change by the minute, by the hour, by the day. So it's just in this moment. What's your number?
7.
7. Okay. Don is 2. Okay.
Okay.
And
5.
2 for Diane. 5 for, was that Shirley?
Yes.
Okay. And Carol? I didn't see. Oh, 0. Okay, wonderful. Okay, and 4 and 3. Okay, wonderful. Good. And 5. Okay, all right.
So that's a good representative of the human race, I think. You know, we're all in
over the
different
board.
places at different times, and that's part of what it is to be human. So that's just fine. So let's talk for a moment. We're going to divide this into at least two sections today. One, talk about the things that we do not have control over, and also the things we do have control over. And so let's talk first about the things we do not have control over. And I'm going to try and keep track in the chat box of what you say, or you can even add them yourself to the chat box as well. But what would you say? Just go ahead and blurt something out. What are some of the things that we do not have control over related to this virus? Anybody?
Oh, others. Paula has others. We have
others.
Exactly.
Okay, others is already in there, right?
Yes.
We do not have control of others, what they do or what they say or how they think.
Mm-hmm. What's available in the grocery store from Karen?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, somebody's asking for our numbers.
Okay.
What are our numbers for Dave and Kate today on the scale of peace to anxiety?
Mm-hmm. I'm at a 1, mainly because of a physical complaint that I'm experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm. I would say I'm at a 1/2, maybe. I really don't do worry anymore. I don't do anxiety.
In this moment.
In this moment, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling very good at this point.
Okay.
So
Thanks for your interest, Ken, whoever it was that asked
that was Diane, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Diane.
Okay, the economy. Yes, we can't control the economy, can we? Whoa, that's way out of our
Yeah, canceled events.
league. Oh yeah, events.
Yeah, yes, from Gordy. How long this will all last? Still don't know that, do we? We talked about that last week. Still don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned last week. I think you brought it up one week too, Gordy, about the kids that are not getting their graduations.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
and there's concerts, and there's proms, and there's jobs that are being canceled.
Yeah, major sporting events and I just heard that there's like the state fairs are canceling for this year.
Mm,
Things that we'd always count on happening every year are not. We have no control over that.
mhm. Yeah. One that nobody's mentioned yet is getting sick. We do not know for sure if we're going to get sick or stay well.
We can help keep ourselves healthy. We have control over that, and even with that, we could still become contaminated.
Right. Right. Anything else you can think of that you feel out of control about, which is probably true.
Here's another one. Starting tomorrow in Pennsylvania, you must wear a mask if you go into a store. Before it was optional. Now it is. As I said, tomorrow that will be a must. And something else when we talked about this, not being able to see your loved ones. That you really like to be around them. If they don't live with you, then you're not seeing them, or even your fellow workers, that you're working remotely, have no control over that. Yeah, good. So just for a second, just kind of, I'm just noticing, as we're focusing on all these what we might call negatives of what's out of our control, I'm just noticing like, oh yeah, there's an energy that pulls us down when we concentrate, and which we just did, and focused on what is out of our control.
Yeah, my anxiety went up a little bit just talking about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He reminded you. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me how little control I have.
Right. That's fascinating. In just a couple of minutes, how we can do that. So, which is, the thing to be aware of is what's going on in your head. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on all the things that are out of your control? That is going to give you a certain emotion, create a certain emotional state.
Yeah. How about for some of you others? What's it like when we try to hold this stuff that we can't control? We try and manage it. We try and get on top of it. What's it like to try and do that?
I can only do that for so long. Stay in that what's out of my control space.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Switch it and say, okay, now what can I do? And the whole day will change.
Yes,
okay.
That's powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that, Nancy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pointing us already to you start thinking about what you can do,
Yeah,
rather than what you can't do.
Yeah, and what I love about what you said, Nancy, is when you catch yourself doing that, you notice a difference in how you feel.
Correct.
And then you take charge. Yeah, excellent. What else? What's it like? What do you notice in yourself?
We've got a couple more items too. Death of loved ones, certainly, and not being able to be with them. It's going to be totally hard.
Yeah, I had
parks and sporting events.
Yeah, I had a cousin pass away, and that I really just love this guy, and so there's no services. We're just all on hold. So can't control that.
Yeah. So even though it's a little uncomfortable to talk about this, we wanted to take a few moments to do it because it is so important to be consciously aware of what we can control and what we can't.
Mhm.
So we have to be sharp about it. We have to think about it rather than just being, like a tsunami coming at us and flowing all over us. We need to make a choice about, wait a minute, can I control this or can't I?
Mhm.
And if we focus on the things that we can't control, isn't it reasonable that we would get anxious? Because we can't do anything about it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
And
these-
and so that's what many of us do. I know I've done some of this when I hear what's on the news. Uh, a lot of what's on the news is stuff I can't control. So when I'm focused on that, or when I'm allowing that to be fed to me, it increases my anxiety. I have found. I've noticed that about myself.
Yeah, and I think that and it's not just in. I mean, what we're talking about today is not just relative to this pandemic. It is relative to our lives in general, because there's always things going on around us that we can't control, and it's really pronounced right now, where we're all feeling it, to some degree, or experiencing it collectively. Um, and this is what we're wanting to help take your thinking to a place, is to help you even once we get through this, even for the rest of your life. That you work those muscles and remember what we're talking about now.
So anybody have any comments before we go on? Like, what are the things that you have found yourself trying to control that you really can't? Anybody aware?
I'm going to say I got into a conversation with somebody on Facebook, and they were basically very warring against whatever enemy they saw, and I thought I could bring some sort of reason to it, but it quickly got out of control, and I had to just let it go because there was no
Reasoning.
No,
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
When somebody wants to kill a whole group of people, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, which just exemplifies their level of fear. That when people are fearful, that's when they become either defensive or really attacking. Either place, and that sort of, it can match the level of fear that somebody holds when you observe that kind of behavior. Yeah, that's why you said you have no control of others, because that was on your mind, right, Paul?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Anybody else out there realize they have trouble controlling others?
Yeah, Karen noted here in the chat when she's waiting to get a check for $1,200.
That's right.
Yeah, I got mine.
Will it come?
Not that I had control, but yeah.
Yeah. Diane, we'll address your question also. Let us just get a little more information out, and then we can talk about how to get the balance. How to get the balance. Is that okay? We do it that way?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I mention something else though? That's not in my chat place. I found myself yesterday becoming holding more anxiety. Yes, as I listen to the news, but I tend to take on other people's anxiety and own it for my own. So we're watching the news, and I'm thinking about, we're in Minnesota. I don't know how many of us sitting here in Minnesota, but our governor was kind of under attack, and he has been the last few days, and I just started to feel for him, because he's been doing, I think, a good job of protecting all of us. And now there's kickback from that, from people who don't want to be in this position of holding their lives perhaps back from jobs or socializing. I just started to feel so much anxiety for him, but it wasn't my anxiety. Nobody was holding up signs in my yard, but I felt like they were. Do you know what I mean?
Here's what is just is coming to me, Diane, and tell me if this speaks to you, that you were feeling complete compassion for your governor and his where he is in getting these complaints about him. Is it compassion you were feeling?
Yes, but in more of a negative way to my body, like it was making me upset.
Exactly. That's what that's I think where the disconnect is. So imagine if you were able to, because feeling compassion for someone is a feel good thing, right?
Okay.
You know, like love, you know, that when we have compassion. And you know, what would it be like if in watching that you focused on your compassion, like feeling the compassion and letting your heart open with love and compassion for your governor, and so that the anxiety, because the anxiety, where did that come from? Your thinking?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know. I mean, it's not right or wrong answer, you know, that. But are you aware?
It probably boils down to that pyramid that we were just looking at, and I started to think about overall of our state, our safety. I was like brought down to, oh my gosh, what will happen now?
Okay.
Are we going to be in a more unsafe zone
Yes.
with all of this conflict and complete opposite?
Yes, got it. Yeah. So that's where the line was crossed. Yeah, totally understandable. When, you know, compassion in itself is a loving, positive feeling. And where it took you was in your own fear of what could happen. You know, if the governor is being knocked down, because you see him protecting your safety. So
I do.
Yeah, that's
so some of the thoughts that you might have been having are, gosh, I'm scared that this is going to affect our safety, or what if this goes wrong, or what if people don't do, what if people don't act smart about this anymore? What's going to happen? And then usually when we ask that question, oh, what's going to happen? You know, we usually think of something negative. You know, like more people are going to hurt, more people are going to get sick, more people are going to die. And so your thinking may have been focused on what could go wrong with this now.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's part of what you were getting at, Kate, is if we can get in charge of what we're thinking and start thinking about something else besides that, besides what could go wrong. And you were suggesting, I think, compassion.
Yeah.
Kate,
I mean, I'm sure there was
for the governor.
Right. I'm sure your just natural gift of compassion and love was there in listening to him, and that it ended up spiraling into fear. You know, what could have, what could happen. So, yeah, that's an excellent example.
This is another place I go, is that I also have compassion for the people who are scared. Not just myself or my family, but those people who are scared of losing their businesses or scared of running out of money if we don't open up the country. Their fear level is very, very high. So they too are worthy of our compassion.
Which, when we can muster that up, and we're not saying that's easy, but when we can, work that muscle and look at, boy, what are they afraid of? What must that be like for them? To be protesting in close proximity to a lot of other people, like they are desperate, like that allows me to open my heart up with compassion for them rather than fear of, oh my gosh, our country's falling apart. What's going to happen if everybody just, goes nuts here? I could easily go there. So I love where you're taking us, David, because it is when we're intentional about looking for where we can have compassion for the fears
I'd
when
like
people-
to share an experience regarding that protest.
Mhm.
A friend of mine, and we differ greatly politically, on ideals like that, but she was looking for passengers to go with her to this protest at the governor's mansion. And I've refrained completely from posting anything on her wall.
Mhm.
But I felt really led to say something about that. But I only shared my experience about knowing someone who was really sick and about just wishing she wouldn't go, kind of,
Mhm.
and what happened is she did go. I don't know if other people went with her. When she got there, she posted a video. Like, she was probably the only one I saw that wore a mask and looked like they were keeping their distance. But she was all hyped up about opening it up. And at the time, I did not realize that she had lost her job.
Mm.
She
See
had
the
opened
fear.
her job. They all kind of disappeared.
Right.
But she's married and her husband is employed, so it's not totally destitute, right? But later on, when she was leaving, she posted again and she said, I am just going to pray for healing. And then she posted a picture of some flowers she saw on her way back to her vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So the change that happened to her,
Fascinating. Yeah.
that I thought was extremely fascinating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she obviously made some shifts in her head then
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
about what she was thinking
Mm-hmm.
before to what she was thinking now.
Yeah, and notice the difference, from on the anxiety to peace scale, peaceful anxiety scale. But the more fear we have, the higher the anxiety.
Yeah.
And once we can, trust, accept, we get more reasonable. Our compassion is allowed to come forth. Love is able to come forth. We're going to feel more peaceful then.
Yeah, I just thought it was great.
Yeah, it's a great story, Nancy. Thank you.
Yeah, another way to look at this, just to bring this chart back up again, Diane, you may have been in this area with your concern. I'm concerned about safety. If the country loosens up too fast, if people ignore the social distancing rules, it's going to affect our safety. Maybe the safety of me and my family, maybe the safety of people I don't even know, but maybe there's a lot of people who could be hurt. So your need was for safety, perhaps, here. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just guessing. But I wonder, what is the need of those that are fighting to get back to normal? And if someone has lost their job, they're dealing with these needs down here. So, and they're more basic needs. So they're going to be more passionate about it because doggone it, I need a job. I need money. I got to feed my family. And that kind of passion or intensity is probably going to override this need for safety because it's more of a basic need. So, so I'm thinking of the gal that Nancy was talking about. If she lost her job, we can understand why she might be more fired up about getting the economy going again than she would be about caring about safety, because that's a more basic need. Is that making sense? What I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
very good comment.
Yeah, I love that model.
Okay, good. Now I'm trying to get out of here again. Oh shoot!
You did it before.
How do I do this?
Try clicking on your screen once. Maybe the drop-down box will start.
No, it's not doing that.
Stop sharing. Did you
Oh,
share?
stop sharing. Stop
Yeah.
sharing. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yes.
Gosh, where do I click? Where do I click?
That goes back to your very primary skills, David.
Yes. Yes, good. Well, so let's talk more about, though, what we do have control over, because that's going to feel a little bit better to us, isn't it?
Mhm.
So let's generate some ideas about that. What do we have control over?
Mhm.
Just throw out some ideas.
Mhm. Gordy, you have something to say. Oh, but you're
Oh.
muted.
I know my space bar is not working now.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know if this is such a great idea or not, but I've got some friends on Facebook who are friends of mine, and we're acquaintances, and we've always kind of gotten along, but we are opposite in some thinking,
Ah,
and I found that I read some of their posts and I said, I'm not going to deal with this. So I just snoozed them for 30 days and said, I'm not going
Okay.
to deal with it, because when I read their posts, my first reaction is, you are an idiot.
yeah.
And I know I can't say that to them. Well, I could, but I'm not going to.
You have control over that, yes.
Right. I have control over that. So I figure, I can kind of I have control over what I allow myself
Yes.
to be exposed to. Even with the news, I can still allow myself to be
Right.
what I'm exposed to.
Right. And you also noted another, you are also in control of if you respond or not.
Right. And the reason I muted them is it's really hard not to respond.
I get you. Yeah.
But and Diane is like, why do you read that? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a reason.
It's like a train wreck. You can't keep your eyes off it sometimes.
It is. That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's a
Yeah.
good example. What else are you in control of?
Let's see. Some people are typing into what I listen to. Yes, very good. What I listen to, what I read, and what I do with my time. Those are all great things, Marvel. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Now, Marvel. Earlier, I think I saw something we didn't, and was you had said that you didn't have control over was tension. And although you don't have control over the tension of others, we do have control over our own tension. When we're noticing ourselves getting like, then what do I do about that? So,
Yeah.
yes,
That
great.
if that were to happen, or when that happens, I am so happy that I'm much more in touch with how I feel, that much more quickly find, okay, I'm feeling tense. What do I have control over? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? What do I need to stop? Or what do I start?
Yes, excellent. Yeah. And how empowering that is
Yes.
to be standing there rather than a victim of, oh my gosh. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Carol said, writing letters of thanks. What a great way to focus
yes.
positively.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really directing our thoughts and actions at the same time. Something positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been, every time I've gone into the grocery store, I thank the people that I see putting stuff on shelves or check me out. And I went up to them and I said, I want to thank you for your service. And she was like, oh my gosh, it made her day. And that was definitely something I could have, we can all do that. I could have just taken her for granted, but to take control over saying thank you. And I love the letter writing. That is really in a big way.
I like Karen's response here too, my own breathing.
Excellent.
How wonderful that is, because when we get nervous or tense, we tend to breathe more shallow and faster. So if we deliberately breathe more deeply and slowly, we will tend to manage that anxiety and move more on that scale towards peace. rather than the anxiety, just by our breathing. That's a great one.
It's a huge one.
I think of this cliche. I know it's a cliche, but there's a lot of truth to it. Is it more important to be right or to be happy? And sometimes we just want to win, right? We just want to win the discussion. We want to win somebody over to our way of thinking. And that becomes more important than being happy. And the reality is that we can all be happy even when people think differently than we do.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of is you're saying that, David, is so what is the fear that's missing in that? And the fear of being wrong is what's missing. You know, if we're not afraid to be wrong, then it doesn't matter if somebody's going to be coming at me. Like, okay, you know, I can have that conversation. You know, that's the love that.
Gordy, you mentioned disconnecting a little bit from various media. And I have done that this week too, and it's really helped me. I used to, 2 weeks ago, I was tuning into the news 15 minutes a day, twice a day. I wasn't going to watch a whole news program. That was too much for me. 15 minutes twice a day. Now I'm down to 15 minutes every second or third day. And it's helped me be a lot more peaceful. Just watching less news has helped me. And Diane was asking a question earlier about, well, how do you get this balance then between being informed and taking care of yourself? And what do you say, group? How do you do that? How do you maintain a balance between staying informed and staying calm and control of your emotions? Any ideas on that?
I don't think it's totally possible to stay exactly in the middle. It's like a pendulum. You swing back and forth and touch the areas, and then you know when you're out, you come back to center.
If you're awake and aware, you know that. Yeah, and can even help your self-control back to center. But as far as being informed, you can, without watching a whole news show, you can Google current precautions, current recommendations by the CDC or something like that, because that's a changeable thing day to day. You can be very specific in looking for whatever, to be up to date.
One of the questions I ask myself is, what do I need to know? And when the newscast tells me for the 30th time, reporter will ask, when is this going to end? Right? That's on every news program. That's always asked every day, isn't it? When is this going to end? I do not need to hear that question anymore. I do not need to hear the answer anymore, because the answer is always, we don't know. We don't know. So I don't need to listen to that one. So once they get to that question, I'm done. Or it may be some other question that is repetitive. Oh, this sounds just like yesterday's news, or this sounds just like the day before yesterday. So for me, I start asking myself, and I'm not saying that this is the way to do it or the right way to do it. This is just the way I'm doing it. That when I start feeling bad watching the news, it's time for me to turn it off. Because feeling good to me is much more important than hearing the same old complaint or anxiety or question again and again and again and again.
Yeah, and that goes with Paula's note in the chat about thoughts, feelings, and reactions. When we practice self-awareness enough, when we do that regularly, we can really work that muscle so that when we feel ourselves be off, you're going to know it quickly. Some people they'll feel a little bit off, and they go a little bit more and 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 a little bit more, and then before long they're totally out of control and miserable. Well, for myself, I practice this so much that as soon as I'm even a little bit off, I go, oh, wait a minute, what's bothering me here? And my question for myself is, all right, what are you afraid of? And when I can get that answer, then I can, oftentimes I'm making something up. What I'm afraid of isn't even real, and that I can get myself back. But the biggest thing that we're in control of, folks, is our thoughts. It's our own thoughts. What are we focusing on? What are we dwelling on? What are the tapes that we're replaying and replaying? Is it the messages that we're giving ourselves, the scary ones, about all the what ifs? What if this goes on for a full year? Anybody think that one? What if I get sick? All the things that they aren't even real. We're making them up. And when you notice how you feel, and then you notice, what am I thinking that's causing me to feel this right now? Then change your thoughts. Focus on what is the truth, what is real. So, David, you're sharing. Oh, there you go.
What am I sharing? Am I sharing the control?
You're sharing your whole desktop, but
Oh, that's not what I want to do. That's pretty confusing.
yeah.
Uh,
Just when you hit share, it'll show that document. There you
Is
go.
it-
There
is
you
it-
go.
oh, I got one document there. Okay.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, okay. Well, this, I just decided to bring this up because this is kind of one way of summarizing
Mhm.
some of the things that you've all been saying out there. These things outside the circle tend to be things that we cannot control. And these things inside the circle tend to be things we can control.
Mhm.
So look over that list and see what grabs you, like where's your weak spot? Of these things out here, what tends to hook you into wanting to control it? Any of this stuff out here?
I'd say for me, how others react. I noticed it when I went out yesterday to get something I needed. I put my mask on, and I was probably one of maybe 100 people that I saw wearing masks. Hardly anyone wears a mask around here. So, I felt, like no one's listening.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And that's frustrating when you can't make other people wear a mask. Right? Can't control others.
Or convince them. Yeah.
Yeah, convince them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. How about somebody else? Where do you tend to get caught being pulled into anxiety because you're tricked into wanting to control something you can't?
Well, I'd have to agree with the actions of others because it's always, I heard somebody say once, life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% how you react. But sometimes I think in some of the people that I've observed on the news and not so much in our town because we've got a little tiny town, but it's I don't like it when other people are making the decision for me because they don't care. Like this one lady said yesterday, I don't care if I get COVID-19. I'd rather die of that than die like I am now. Well, that's fine for you to make that decision for yourself, but don't make that decision for others with how you are acting.
Right.
And that's where I find that so the actions of others I have to go in. That's one thing that I struggle with.
Right.
Absolutely.
Get it.
Right. So, what if we could? I think that's a common one that we all share. It's like we get frustrated when we look out there and see people doing things that are different from the way we would do them. The actions of others. So, what if we shifted that focus to this? What will I do? What will I do for myself? Rather than worrying about what other people are doing, how am I going to take care of myself to make sure that I stay safe and that I'm not infecting others, and all those other things that concern us. So we want to move from out here into here. Is kind of the goal.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one at the bottom, my kindness and grace.
Oh.
And what that was making me think of just now is how I believe there's a lot of people that are behaving badly that are typically probably very kind people and have grace. I mean, we all have grace. And yet they're behaving badly. And so if I have the choice to give away my own kindness, throw away my joy, stop being kind to people because they don't deserve it. And now there's two miserable people. Does that make sense? I mean, I just got this insight right now.
Yeah, I'm also aware when you were talking about the concept of what each of us thinks is bad is different, right? If we're really concerned about safety and keeping people healthy, we may think it's bad that other people are not following recommendations like wearing masks or social distancing. However, if we place a high value on our freedom and we're thinking, look, I live in the United States of America and I get to do what I want here. And it's your responsibility to protect yourself from the virus, not mine. I'm going to exercise my freedom. To that person, the person who is trying to do the safety measures is the bad one, in quotes, the bad one, right? Because it depends on where you're coming from, right? Is that making sense? What I'm saying is like, it's easy for us to judge other people's behavior as bad because it's different than us. But they may be making the same judgments of us because they've got a different perspective.
Yeah, it's complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Here's I have to have it simple for my own peace, and the only one I'm in control of is me. Remembering that, and how do I want to feel? How do I want to be as I go through this crisis? I want to be positive. I want to do what I can to support others. I want to be understanding. I want to be compassionate because all of those things feel good. And that's, and so that's the choice that we each have. And first of all, we have to be aware, what's happening in our own heads.
Nobody's brought up prayer yet, but I think many of us tend to go towards prayer when we're wanting help with something, right? And it's a way to focus on hope, focus on something positive. Anything else that hasn't been brought up yet that you think of that we have control over? That if we focused on what we can control instead of what we can't control, we would feel better.
Our story, David and Kate and everyone else, is my husband just retired. And we had all these plans. And one of them was a lot of biking, but not particularly at home. The new bike rack, the new, let's go, all these plans, a big music festival in Canada, all this stuff that just did get canceled a few days ago. But the flip side of that was, and I'm also on a pretty big weight loss journey, so the biking kind of fits into that, right? So it was like, well, I can still do that. I can eat healthy, I can lose weight, and we can bike all kinds of places here, so we can still be doing that. So that part of that plan is still doable.
Yeah. So you made yourself feel better about that.
Absolutely. I can't control any of this other stuff, but we can control. I can control what I eat, and I can control
Mhm.
getting outside and doing what you love to do.
Right. Excellent. Excellent.
And Carol is agreeing with you. She's written in exercise and eating healthy
Mm-hmm.
are things that are in our control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Beautiful. Well, David, we're coming up to the top of the hour here.
We are. So, can anybody share before we leave? Just what's something from this discussion today that you're going to take with you to help you feel better this week, to encourage yourself, something you'll remember? What comes to mind that you're going to take away?
And it can't, just a note, it can be something you're already practicing that you want to even amp up.
I think I can say that I haven't thought much about what this whole idea of control. What am I in control of, and what I am not in control of? So I think I'll just be more aware this week of that piece. Just the whole topic, and trying to be more aware of that control piece.
Yeah, good.
Nice.
Thank you for
Very
sharing,
good.
Diane.
And I think remembering the people that we see that are bothering us because they don't seem to be taking this as serious as we are or as we do. What's behind that? It's their fear. I mean, I think I tend to forget that, and acting with compassion. That's a big piece for me, to remember that, because I think I haven't always thought about that. Why are they acting that way?
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that. One of the biggest lessons I've had in life is exactly about that, Dawn. I'm a partner on that journey with you in wanting to see people as doing the best with what they've got. They're all trying their best, and that's why judgment is folly, is because everybody's trying their best. So just because someone is doing something different than me doesn't mean they're bad or they're insufficient or anything. It just means they're doing their best
Yeah.
from their point of view,
Yeah.
what they've got.
Yeah, it's much easier to deal when you can see somebody who's behaving badly as vulnerable. Oh my gosh, that I just see people as as if they're a scared child. Oh my goodness, but my heart can go out to that vulnerability more than that if I see them as an ogre, somebody who's trying to harm me.
Yep.
It does make it easier when you kind of hold that vision.
Great. Well, I guess we're out of time here, but we wanted to share with you what we'll be talking about next week. Those of you who have been with us a while know that we meet every Saturday at this time, 1 o'clock Central, 2 Eastern. And next week's topic, do you want to tell them, Kate, what we're going to be talking about?
Sure. And it kind of plays off what we've been talking about today. And it's what's good about this. Finding the positive in the COVID-19 crisis.
It's very easy, isn't it, to look at the negative, what's bad about the virus, but there are tons of things that are good about the virus happening
That we might not have been expecting. But
so that's where we're going to focus next time.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. And David,
Yes.
is it possible that I can that you could send me a copy of that? I cannot control the chart.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Or else a link to where I can go for it, because that really was really great.
Do you want both diagrams, the control?
Oh, I would love them. I would love them. Yes, because
Okay.
it will keep me
Yes.
remembering what we talked about today,
Right.
Kate.
It's a good visual. Yes.
Yeah.
Great
Okay.
idea, Shirley.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're welcome, Shirley. I think I see some nods that other people want them too. So this is what I'll do. I will post both of those diagrams on my Facebook page. You can come and screenshot them or lift them off or do whatever you want. But that's where you can go to find them. I think that's the easiest way to get them to
And
everybody.
I have Shirley's email, so I'll send them to Shirley directly.
Oh, thank you, because I really don't do Facebook, so I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Sure, yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
Well, good. Yeah. If we're not responding to you fully the way you want to be responded to, please ask for what you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both so much. You are wonderful. And I'm so happy that you're one of our Corning Chamber members, so I got to know you too.
Yes. Shirley was one of my first meets at the
I
Corning
know.
Chamber. Yeah, that was great.
Yes. Well, thank you.
You're very
You are
welcome.
welcome.
And thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week.
Yes, thank you guys very much.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, bye-bye. We're in
You
this
take
together.
care.